Hey there, and welcome back to another video. So I've talked in a few recent videos about the different kinds of bulbs that we grow here at Two Sisters Flower Farm. I've mentioned my love for specialty daffodils before. I've shared about the crazy number of tulip bulbs that we're growing this spring, and I've also talked about forcing amaryllis bulbs in your homes during the winter for a beautiful display of seasonal flowers. In case you can't tell, I really enjoy growing beautiful flowers from bulbs. Now, this wasn't always the case. I had a lot of hesitation early on in my flower farming journey because I simply didn't understand what to look for when shopping for bulbs. And really, since bulbs require more of an investment, especially compared to seeds, I was concerned that I'd just be wasting my money if I wasn't careful. And so today I want to share a few key considerations that you should look for when sourcing bulbs yourself so that you can feel confident with what you're growing. If you're ready for this, let's go. So bulbs, they represent a unique category of flower where all or most of the energy required for that flower to grow and bloom is already inside of them, which means that the results that you get from your bulb flowers largely depends on the quality of bulbs that you start with. The first and foremost thing that I look for when buying bulbs is size. Just so we're clear, bulbs are sold according to their size, and that size reflects the measurement of the circumference of the bulb at its widest point. Now, that measurement is usually expressed in centimeters. In the bulb world, size does make a difference. Now, if you've ever shopped bulbs before, you've probably noticed how larger bulbs can be more expensive. So our natural inclination, especially when we're on a tight budget or we're wanting our money to go farther, is that we decide to buy more bulbs that are smaller in size. After all, more bulbs means that you're getting more bang for your buck, right? Well, not exactly. Size does matter. As I've just mentioned, the energy required for a bulb to bloom and flower, that's all stored inside the bulb. Bigger bulbs have more what they need to not just survive, but to grow and bloom beautifully in your garden. That's why with bigger bulbs, you tend to get stems that are sturdier and often more numerous. I'll actually show you a video clip here of amaryllis bulbs that illustrates this concept very well. Now, these two pots were planted at the same time and grew under the same conditions. However, what differed was the size of the bulb that I started with. With this amaryllis on the right, I started with a much smaller bulb, and as a result, I've noticed fewer stems and less flowers per stem. In comparison, the flowers from the larger bulb just have more of that wow factor. They're larger flowers, resulting in a more favorable display of flowers. Now, bulb size does vary by flower variety, and some flower cultivators are naturally smaller than others. So I thought it'd be helpful if I shared what bulb sizes that I look for when sourcing flower bulbs for the season. So let's start with amaryllis bulbs. Amaryllis bulbs are one of my favorite wintertime flowers, and as I shared in this video right here on growing amaryllis, amaryllis bulbs come in a wide variety of sizes, everything from 24 centimeters upward close to 40 centimeters. Your amaryllis bulb, I recommend at minimum it be at least 24 centimeters. However, for the greatest display of flowers, I'd recommend a jumbo amaryllis bulb of at least 34 centimeters. Personally, I prefer to source bulbs that are at least 34 to 36 centimeters. And when I can find them, 36 to 38 centimeter bulbs are some of my favorite as they are unmatched in their performance. Now, with tulips, 12 centimeter bulbs are considered premium bulbs, and that's what we plant here in our farm. With bulbs that perennialize like amaryllis, as we just mentioned, or like daffodils that we'll discuss here shortly, those bulbs tend to grow bigger with age. However, we grow all of our tulip bulbs here at Two Sisters Flower Farm as annuals, and for that reason, it's important to us that we grow only premium-sized tulip bulbs. For us and for the goals that we have with our flowers, I will not grow anything less. Now, if you're looking to add a bit of color to your landscape and you're wanting to make an impact on a larger scale, maybe you want to fill an entire bed with tulip bulbs so that you have a beautiful display of color come spring. Well, then you may want to invest in smaller bulbs to accomplish this. If this is your goal, I encourage you to purchase bulbs that are at minimum 10 centimeters. Now, daffodils are some of my favorite spring flowers, which is ironic because I swore that when I first started growing flowers that I would never grow daffodils myself. They just didn't interest me. But since discovering specialty daffodil varieties, I just can't get enough, and it seems that every year my collection grows. If you're looking for premium daffodil bulbs, you're going to want to look for 16 centimeter bulbs. For a lot of you, 16 centimeter bulbs are quite different than what you're used to getting when you shop bulbs at your local garden center. We actually sold specialty daffodil bulbs as part of our fall bulb sale last year, and we received a surprising number of phone calls from customers who had never seen daffodil bulbs quite that large. One of the varieties that we sold in that sale were actually 18 centimeter bulbs, and I actually had one customer ask if she should cut her bulbs in half as she wasn't used to seeing bulbs quite that size. I instructed her to keep her bulbs intact and that come spring she should expect quite a wonderful display in her landscape. So let's talk paper whites. Paper whites are of the same family as daffodils. They just don't require the same cold treatment as daffodils, and that's how we can get away with forcing them in the wintertime. Because they're so similar, it's not surprising then that we look for a similar bulb size. For the paper whites that we sell as part of our holiday market, we usually source jumbo paper white bulbs that are at least 17 centimeters. I do want to mention corms, anemone and ranunculus corms, because the same kind of rules apply. Though corms look different than traditional bulbs, the body of a corm provides stored energy for the plant, and therefore larger corms will produce larger, stronger plants. So here actually I have an example of two different corms, and there's a notable size difference. This larger corm measures at about 5 to 7 centimeters, while this smaller corm here is about 4 to 5 centimeter category. I actually purchased these smaller corms to give you a visual of what I'm talking about. As the season progresses, I will be sure to show you the difference in blooms that these two corms produce. But I'm very much anticipating that this larger corm will produce a much more robust plant. When I'm shopping for both ranunculus and anemone corms, I'm usually looking for ones that fit this 5 to 7 centimeter group. Okay, let's talk dahlias for a second. Because tubers and bulbs are often thought of as similar to one another, they often get lumped in the same category. I think it's worth a quick mention, for nothing else than to reassure you as you purchase dahlia tubers this season and to give you some peace of mind. But the size rule does not apply to dahlia tubers like it does with bulbs. If you grow lots of dahlias, you'll see that every dahlia variety is a bit different in terms of the size and shape of tubers it produces. Some dahlia varieties produce long, skinny tubers, while others produce short, potato-like tubers. Neither tuber is better than the other, and both will produce beautiful flowers in your garden, provided that the tuber has a body, an eye, and a strong neck. Beyond size, other things I look for when sourcing bulbs is the overall texture and health of the bulb. Now, this one is a bit trickier to do when you're buying online, and that's why it's important to buy your bulbs from a trusted source. But if you happen to be buying from a local garden center or even a big box store, your bulbs should be firm and have some weight to them. A few bumps or nicks on the surface of the bulb is normal, as sometimes those marks result from the shipping and or the handling process. But a bulb that is mushy or soft is usually an indication that the bulb has not been stored properly, and it will very likely rot, meaning that you won't get any flowers from it, and that's the ultimate disappointment. Also, if your bulb feels light, like it doesn't have any meat to it, this could again be the result of a bulb that wasn't stored properly, and it may be dried out. Know that these bulbs that have little to no life left in them, they can't be restored, and so I would avoid purchasing these. It's worth mentioning that if you do purchase online and happen to receive an unhealthy bulb, check with your suppliers. They may reimburse you for your purchase. We sometimes have this happen to us as we order bulbs in large quantities. For our tulips especially, we order in quantities of 500 per crate. I'm always aware that when we bulk order, that there's going to be some loss. I mean, that's just normal when you're working with a perishable product. But last fall, we did receive a few notable crates where at least 1/3 of the crate was diseased. Now, in that instance, we reached out to our supplier and they allowed us to file a claim to be reimbursed for the affected bulbs. Now, I don't want to scare you from buying bulbs. The more bulbs that we trial each year, from all of the different tulip varieties to the paper whites and the amaryllis come winter, well, the more that we do that, the more I fall in love with all the different types of bulb flowers that are out there. If you wanted to give bulbs a try but were hesitant of where to start, I really hope that this video gave you some things to take into consideration so that you can feel confident about your purchase. Specifically, if you're wanting to try your hand at growing any of the bulb varieties that we grow here at Two Sisters Flower Farm, be sure to check back with us in the fall as we sell all of our favorite varieties as part of our fall bulb sale, in more manageable home gardener quantities, of course. Now, this video has been short and sweet, so if I forgot anything, please let me know in the comments below. While you're down there, if you enjoyed the content in this video, I'd really appreciate if you give this video a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button too if you haven't already. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today. As always, I can't wait to catch you in the next video. Bye, guys.